Welcome to Night Stalker After Dark. Before I begin my story, I want to preface a little bit. These stories will cover mine and others' encounters with all things dark and creepy. Devils, demons, monsters, ghosts, cryptids, and all things that go bump in the night. These stories are all as true as I believe they are. You don't have to believe me, but I know what I saw, and I'm only recounting what I saw and what I believe to have seen. This is one of my most popular stories. I always get good reactions out of it, so I'll start with it. About 10 years ago, I got invited on a hunting trip by a good friend of mine. We went out to a part of northwest Texas. If you're not familiar with the environment out there, northwest Texas has a lot of what's known as mesquite bushes. Essentially, little small, funny-shaped trees. That's pretty much all there is out there. Well, my friend was loaning me his tripod stand, which a tripod stand, if you don't know, is essentially just a chair with a little cage on top sitting up on 3 legs. This one was about 20 foot tall. It was surrounded on all sides by mesquite bushes overlooking a nice little open clearing. I went out. It was probably 4:30, maybe 5 p.m. We get out on the stand, and we've still got a fair bit of daylight left. I don't know, it was probably earlier, now that I think about it. But I was out there well until after sundown. Around about the time that it started to hit dusk, every now and again I'd see something flit back and forth through the mesquite bushes, off in the distance. Well, I thought it was a deer, so I'd get my rifle up, and I'd look down there. I wouldn't see nothing. I'd put the scope back down, and I'd see it again. There it would be. It would flit from one side of the field to the other real quick, like something was jetting across. But I never could get a real good eye on it, so I never really could tell what it was. And I'd pull up my scope. As soon as I'd get it to stand still, I'd look down there, and there would be nothing there. So I kept doing this repeatedly for the course of 2-3 hours. At this point, it was just about fully dark. And I was sitting there, and whatever was sitting out in the darkness decided it was going to come out of the bushes. Well, it was strange because it didn't have a form or a shape like anything I'd ever seen before. It was just kind of a shadow that just glided out into the middle of the clearing, is the best way I can explain it. I sat there and watched it for a long time, thinking I was just imagining things. And as I watched the shadow, it slowly began to rise up out of the ground. And as it rose up out of the ground, it began to take a form I recognized. And that form was that of a woman, just standing there in the middle of the clearing, looking down at the ground. And I watched it for a long time. I wasn't sure if what I was seeing was real or not. So I'd pull up my rifle scope, and when I'd look through it, it was all blurry. I just couldn't see nothing. Well, I started to get real unnerved. I had a chill go all the way down my spine. I hollered out, "Ma'am, are you okay?" No movement, no response. So I hollered again, "Ma'am, are you lost? Do you need help?" Still nothing. No response, no movement, no anything. So at this point, I'm fairly sure that I'm imagining it. And then it starts to move. It begins to come toward me slowly, but without movement. Like no discernible steps or pace. It just kind of began to glide towards me. So at this point, I'm starting to get pretty terrified. And I watched it for a long time. What seemed like hours. Then, all of a sudden, my buddy was standing at the bottom of the tripod stand. He had come to pick me up. Well, apparently he'd been down there for a little while, and he hollers at me. He says, "Hey, you up there sleeping?" I said, "Bro, you can't see that?" He said, "See what?" I said, "There's something in the clearing." He says, "What's in the clearing?" I said, "It looks like a woman." Well, he immediately panics. He starts telling me, "Leave your shit. Get out the stand. Just come down now. Just come down. If it's not important, don't bring it. Get your gun and that's it." So, keep in mind, this friend of mine is not one of them fellas that's easily shaken. So that scares me. I'm not shaken easy either. As I tell the story, I'm re-seeing this in my mind. But, so I come down out the stand as quick as I can. I grab all my shit and I almost don't even hit the ladder. I just kind of jump down it. Just catching just enough to keep from hurting myself. Well, I get to him and he's ghost white. And he says, "Let's go." Well, we run back to the pickup truck as quick as we can. Well, we get to the pickup truck and he just hauls ass. Stomps on the gas. I'm like, "Dude, what's going on? Why are you so freaked out? What's happening?" He says, "Buddy, you just seen a motherfucking skinwalker." And I remember it to this day. The way it just came out of the ground. Like it was a shadow that just grew out of the earth. It's probably one of the strangest encounters I've had that I'll never really truly be able to explain. But just the thought of it in my mind right now still gives me chills. It's hard to explain beyond that. But it's just one of those things that happens out here in the unknown when you're all by yourself and nothing's around. Things can take a turn for the terrifying real quick. I want you to remember that next time you're on one of your adventures. If you ever see something similar, just do what I did. Take somebody's word for it and run. Because you never know what you might run into out here. Thank you for tuning in to Night Stalker After Dark. Don't forget to like and subscribe, Night Stalker's Odyssey.